Finally, the day has arrived when I don't have to see your face anymore. People who just eat without working should leave. You should be grateful for being allowed to freeload until now. Got it? I won't be coming back. Thanks for everything so far. I quickly packed my stuff and left my in-laws' place where I had been living for many years. As I left, my mother-in-law seemed very pleased. But only I know a certain sad truth. I'm Sarah, 32 years old, and I work from home. I've been married to Alan for 5 years. Our life was peaceful until the 4th year of marriage. Suddenly, my usually healthy father-in-law fell ill and needed care. That's when we started living with my in-laws. I wasn't thrilled about moving in so soon, but my husband is their only child, and there's no one else for them to rely on. We ended up taking care of my father-in-law. I considered quitting my job for his care, but luckily, based on my past performance, my company allowed me to keep working from home. The issues with my in-laws started right away. Yep, I dealt with the classic mother-in-law and daughter-in-law clash. Sarah, hurry up and handle the cooking and cleaning. How long are you going to be lazy and avoid your housework? Mother-in-law, I'm working right now. What are you talking about? You're always just clicking away on the computer. The truth is, you're just browsing the internet, not really working right. Thinking that using the computer means goofing off on the internet is so outdated. I have permission to work from home from my company. Amidst the household chores and taking care of my father-in-law, I've used my skills to bring my salary back to what it was before. After about 3 months of hard work, when I finally managed to match my previous salary, I felt a real sense of joy. The reason I worked so hard is that Alan's salary isn't enough to cover our expenses. I thought life would become easier, and I even considered saving money. However, things kept getting tougher, and it felt like my wallet was always losing its contents. Curious, I investigated where the money was going and discovered that Alan was spending a lot. I also found out that my mother-in-law was wasteful with money. Alan, being a people pleaser, often treated colleagues to lunch, and lately he was using our credit cards for drinking parties. No matter how much I earn, if Alan spends more, our finances will dwindle. Meanwhile, my mother-in-law juggled multiple expensive hobbies with friends, paying for lessons and socializing. I can't tolerate the fact that my husband and mother-in-law continue their wasteful spending while leaving all the housework and care for my father-in-law to me. I've ended up covering all our living expenses with my income, making saving money a distant dream. Anxious about this, I decided to talk to my husband and mother-in-law. Alan and mother-in-law, it looks like our spending has been quite high lately. If this continues, we'll run out of money. Can you both please try to cut back on your expenses? Alan and my mother-in-law didn't take my words well. I don't want to feel embarrassed. I can't appear stingy in front of my colleagues and subordinates. You get that right. They won't think poorly of you just because there are times when you don't foot the bill. You don't have to treat them every single time. You might not get it, but maintaining good relationships with your coworkers is crucial for smooth work. Treating your juniors to lunch is one thing, but what about those trips to the girls' bars? That has nothing to do with work, does it? It just seems like you're out for fun. How can you come home drunk and start talking about it, even when no one asks you? It implies that you find more enjoyment there than spending time with your family. I'm relieved that Mom understands and agrees. If I skip my classes, I'd just be stuck at home. I take classes with my friends to make the most of the limited time I have left in this world. But what a terrible daughter-in-law I must be. All she sees is the housework, thinking I don't contribute anything, so I have no right to complain. Seriously though, what's she thinking? A homemaker looking down on us as if from a high horse. Let me make it clear, I am working, earning a steady income, and contributing to this household. I'm also handling housework and taking care of my father-in-law. Don't lie. Working from home, you can't be earning that much. Mother is the one doing the living. Don't act so high and mighty for a part-timer. I was so shocked by what I heard that I couldn't even respond. They didn't seem to grasp that I was juggling housework, caregiving, and maintaining a steady income. Moreover, it appeared that my mother-in-law had told Alan that she was the one taking care of my father-in-law, making it seem like I was just a homemaker doing nothing. There were moments when I thought about leaving that house. I seriously contemplated it, but the reason I stayed was because of my father-in-law. Since I got married, he always treated me with kindness, unlike Alan and my mother-in-law. He would often say things like, "Sarah, I'm grateful to have a wonderful daughter-in-law like you. I apologize for everything." Father-in-law, taking care of you isn't a burden. Why would you say that? Sure, I feel bad imposing on you like this, but more than that, I'm concerned about my wife and son. They leave everything to you, doing as they please, right? Yes, you're right. I recognize that it's thanks to your hard work that our household finances are staying afloat. Alan's income alone wouldn't be enough to sustain this household. Father-in-law, you knew all along. It seemed he had understood our family situation for quite some time, and every time he received care, he expressed gratitude with heartwarming words. I genuinely cherished such a father-in-law and even found joy in looking after him. What would happen to this house if I left? I worried about who would care for my beloved father-in-law, so I chose to be the one providing proper care until he passed away a year later. My father-in-law passed away. During the funeral for my beloved father-in-law, tears flowed uncontrollably. "Sarah, why are you crying so much? What's wrong?" "Father-in-law has passed away. Isn't it normal to mourn like this?" "I've been his caregiver all this time." My response seemed to anger my mother-in-law. "You're making it seem like I never took care of him." The truth is, my mother-in-law hardly took care of my father-in-law. She was always busy with her hobbies, frequently going out. Since I was at home, she didn't have to handle any caregiving or housework. She even put on a tearful act in front of relatives, portraying herself as the oppressed and pitiful mother-in-law. To outsiders, it might have seemed like I was the unkind daughter-in-law. They defended her, saying, "Don't be so hard on your mother-in-law," and blamed me, despite the fact that I was simply mourning my father-in-law's death. People who knew nothing criticized me, making me furious. I decided to distance myself from the relatives. That's when Ellen took notice and approached me with complaints. "You embarrassed Mom in front of everyone." "What are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense. I was only crying about father-in-law's death. Yet, your mom came over and told me it was strange for me to cry. Didn't you make it sound like she hadn't taken care of Dad at all?" "I never said such a thing. I just talked about mourning the loss of my father-in-law, whom I had always cared for." "Perhaps it sounded like criticism to you because, in reality, your mom did nothing." "Are you insulting Mom?" "I'm not insulting anyone. I'm just stating the facts. And by the way, if it bothers you so much, you could have done more to care for father-in-law too. If you're so upset about it, you should have taken care of him yourself." "Why are you criticizing me? How can it be none of my business? It's only natural that you, his blood relative, would take care of him. I'm working for this family, managing the house. Taking care of relatives is part of wife duties." "That's absurd. Don't be so ridiculous. I'm working too, you know." Our argument escalated, and the relatives had to intervene. Although they stopped our argument, I didn't speak to my husband at all after that. Once all the funeral proceedings were finished, a lawyer came to explain the inheritance. "I'd like to discuss the contents of the will regarding your late father's estate first. To the wife and the daughter-in-law Sarah, he's left half of his cash to each of you, and to his son Ellen, he's left ownership of the family land and home." "What if Alan gets the land and the house? Doesn't that mean all the other assets go to the wife? Why is Sarah receiving an inheritance? I'm his wife. Your husband was deeply grateful to Sarah for the dedicated care she gave him. He wanted to give her part of the inheritance as a sign of his gratitude. This is his decision. He made his decision, and it can't be changed. I can't believe it." "Oh, I get it. You were caring for him just to get the inheritance, weren't you?" "How could you think that? That has to be it. Otherwise, there's no way you could have been so devoted to him despite not being related by blood." "I had a good relationship with my father-in-law ever since I got married. I took care of him to express my gratitude. Are you suggesting that you tried to make someone unrelated by blood take care of your own husband? Isn't that like psychological abuse? Don't be ridiculous. Fine, I won't bring it up anymore. Appearing frustrated that she couldn't say anything else inappropriate in front of the lawyer, my mother-in-law continued. So that was Dad's decision. It's grand gratitude for Sarah's caregiving, right? If that's the case, then we have no choice but to follow. May I continue? All right. Well, your father stated that it's no longer necessary to rely on Sarah. Upon hearing this, my mother-in-law's face, which had been dissatisfied just moments ago, suddenly broke into a smile. Yes, that's great. I understand. Huh? What do you mean? My mother-in-law seemed pleased, but my husband was confused. He didn't seem to understand what she was saying. So, in the end, Sarah's inheritance is nothing more than severance pay. It's not gratitude at all. Now that Dad's caregiving is over, we don't need Sarah in this house anymore. My mother-in-law had misconstrued my father-in-law's will just as he had intended. The truth is, my father-in-law had discussed this with me before. He wanted me to be free from this house after he passed away. He used the will to cleverly deceive my husband and mother-in-law, making it appear natural for me to leave. And just as my father-in-law had planned, my mother-in-law, completely misunderstanding his true intentions, saw the will as an opportunity to kick me out. Feigning shock at the will to conceal my actual desire to leave, I said, "Father-in-law, why would you treat me like this? To Dad, you were just someone to take care of him. Ellen, you can't understand Sarah anymore, right? Why don't you just divorce her, Ellen? You'll still stay married to me, right?" With tears in my eyes, I looked at Alan. After contemplating for a while, he said, "You know what? Let's get a divorce. I've inherited the family home and land, and Mom got some money too. There's no longer any need to worry about caregiving. So there's no problem if Sarah goes." Huh? What do you mean by that? Just what I said. I feel bad for asking, but could you leave our house and agree to the divorce? Understood. I suppose there's no place for me here anymore. Saying this with a hint of restraint, I retrieved a document from the drawer and handed it to my husband. After our recent disagreement, I went and obtained this. No mistake, the document was a notice of filing for divorce. My husband promptly signed it. Finally, I don't have to deal with you anymore. A non-working freeloader should just get out. Ellen, you should be grateful for us having put up with you. A total freeloader? Is that so? Okay, I understand. I'll leave. Thank you for everything up to now. By the way, since the lawyer is here, I want to check one thing. It's okay that I don't get any more than what I've already received from father-in-law's estate, right? Of course. You seem to have gotten a bit smarter, Sarah. You've been living off me until now, so don't even think about squeezing any more money out of me. Well, I suppose you're right. All right, it's settled then. Please make yourself disappear quickly. I promptly packed my things and left my in-laws' house. Watching me leave, my mother-in-law looked as pleased as could be. They had no idea what would happen to this house in the future. After leaving my in-laws' house, I immediately submitted the divorce notice to City Hall. And when I arrived at the apartment I had rented in advance, I couldn't help but shout out loud in the spacious room. Finally, I can be by myself. This is great. Overwhelmed with joy to be freed from such a challenging marriage, I was truly grateful to my father-in-law for devising the plan to help me escape my in-laws' home. Subsequently, I relished a comfortable life on my own. Having adapted to remote work during my time at my in-laws, I became adept at managing my time, and work proceeded seamlessly. Thanks to that, my income increased, and I enjoyed a content life without any disturbances. Until one day, my ex-husband Alan reached out to me. It's been a while. Why are you calling me? We're in a pinch, Sarah. Please help us. What kind of joke is this? Weren't you the ones who told me to disappear? My salary hasn't changed, but for some reason, we're running out of money. We can't live like this. Oh dear, that's a problem, isn't it? I decided to deliver the final blow. That's because you no longer have my income to support you. Huh? What do you mean? You still don't get it. Didn't you notice while living so lavishly that your salary alone was not enough? I had thought that we could live on my salary alone. But you're telling me that's not the case. Of course, you squandered your entire salary on yourself. We only got by because I was the one paying for our living expenses. Maybe it's about time you and your mother learned some financial responsibility as adults. So, how much were you making then? Let's see. At that time, I was making about $4,800 a month. Maybe that's more than me. That's right. You didn't know, did you? By the way, now I'm earning even more than that with no one to get in my way. Even through the phone, I could sense my husband's frustration clearly. Hey, Sarah, can't we start over? It was a mistake to let you go. I want to make things right again. Huh, it's obvious you're after my income. Are you stupid? That's not true. I still love you, Sarah. Don't be ridiculous. I never want to see your face again. By the way, what happened to the inheritance your mother received? With that amount, she should be living comfortably, right? That's the thing. It's about to run out. That's impossible. It was nearly $100,000, right? That's not an amount you can use up in just a few months. Mom and I spent it on a shopping spree, overseas trips, and half of it disappeared in the casino. A foolish mother breeds a foolish son. I have nothing more to say to you. Besides, I'm a stranger now, so I can't do anything for you, and I don't want to. Don't be so heartless. Help me. This has nothing to do with me. There's nothing more to talk about, so I'm hanging up. Don't call me again. Saying this, I ended the call on my end and promptly canceled the contract for the mobile phone I was using. What became of my ex-husband and mother-in-law afterward is none of my business, and I do not know. However, about a year after that call, I passed by my mother-in-law's house, and it had become an empty lot. They'd probably had to let go of the house due to financial reasons. Well, it's really none of my business. Anyway, as for me, with my newfound spare time, I started attending a wine class that had piqued my interest for some time. There, I met a man 2 years my senior who took me seriously, and after dating for a year and a half, we got married. He is the ace of a well-known company that many people are aware of, and despite his high salary, he is humble with a warm and wonderful character. He respects my career, and we enjoy a fulfilling married life filled with mutual respect. These days, I feel that maybe all this retribution was a gift from my father-in-law.